Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a special piece of equipment, a Zimaboard 832. So the fact you've arrived on this page means that you have heard about the Zimaboard and want to know more about it, and probably how it can help you in your smart home journey. Stick around till the roundup for my conclusions as to if this is the ideal platform for you or a very attractive novel SBC. The Zimaboard is billed as a hackable, single-board x86 based computer. I don't know if I'd say it was any more hackable than any other single-board computer, but it's true that they don't put any roadblocks in your way, that's for sure. More on that later. It comes in three different flavors. With the base configuration version, the 232 comes with 2 cores and 2 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of eMMC 5.1 storage and a Celeron N3350 Apollo Lake and is sold for $119.90 USD. Then there are 2 more powerful versions of the N3450 Celeron CPU, which are the 432 and the 832, which is also an Apollo Lake series, running at 1.1 GHz with a boost to 2.2 GHz. These come with 4 and 8 gigabytes of RAM respectively. These are priced at $159.90 and $199.90 respectively. All versions have a TDP or thermal design power of 6 watts and are powered by a barrel jack brick, which supplies 12 volts at 3 amps for 36 watts of power. Running on the Zimaboard is a Linux Debian variant called Casa OS. Casa OS is an open source home cloud system based on a Docker ecosystem and is designed for home usage scenarios. As such, it's simple to use and ideal for beginners who want to get into the Docker ecosystem. As the Zimaboard is billed as hackable, if you don't want to run Casa OS anymore, then you can easily replace it with a different OS. This little system will even run Windows, although don't expect desktop performance. And most importantly for us Home Assistant enthusiasts, this powerful little box will run Home Assistant OS. We'll be covering this in a future video, but cover the Docker installation in this video. Connectivity is provided by 2 3.0 USB-A sockets with a theoretical maximum of 5 gigabits per second. There are 2 gigabit LAN ports. This is where we start to see the advantages of the Zimaboard, as with 2 gigabit ports, this makes it an ideal candidate for projects such as a pfSense firewall. This is a huge differentiator to something like a Pi that doesn't offer any SATA connections for external hard drives, let alone 2 of them with up to 32 terabytes of external storage supported. Output is provided by a mini DisplayPort 1.2, capable of 4K at 60 Hz. This is driven by an Intel HD Graphics 500. Then I left the best till last. All versions of the Zimaboard come with a PCI 2.0x4. This gives you a huge ability for expansion and versatility. Icewell Technologies offers a wide range of PCI accessories that can be used with the Zimaboard, from AX Wi-Fi cards, 4x 2.5 GHz Ethernet adapters, even up to 10 GHz network card adapters. Although not sold by Icewell, I've even seen the Zimaboard running graphics cards, but I don't recommend this as the CPU would become the bottleneck. Even better is that although this card is only ×4, it does not have an end stop on the PCI socket, so ×8 or ×16 cards will still fit into the socket. As to which will work and if the cards can be powered by the board might be hit and miss. So if you're planning on using a specific card, then I'd suggest doing your homework around compatibility. Now I could go into the single board comparison with other boards and why the Zimaboard is an excellent option for home labbers, and how its unique combination of features and sockets in a passively cooled case lives up to the media hype. But I'll leave some links in the description to other content creators that walk through the hardware comparisons. Instead, I'm going to focus on the unboxing, the initial setup, using the Zimaboard as hardware for Home Assistant, and throwing in a sprinkle of Plex media for a good measure. Now let's dive on in and see what you get in the box. Firstly, I have to say the packaging for the Zimaboard itself is top-notch and very innovative. In the box, you get the Zimaboard itself contained in an anti-static bag. Supplied is a 36-watt power adapter that provides 12 volts at 3 amps via a barrel jack plug. Also included are interchangeable plugs that allow for the power adapter to fit the majority of the world's sockets. This comes with a 1.5 meter cable for convenient placement. There is a single SATA and power cable that connects directly to the Zimaboard. There are two SATA connectors on the Zimaboard, but only one SATA power connector. If you want to connect the second SATA drive, then you'll need an external power or buy a special connector that splits the power between the two drives. And finally, you get an introductory letter from the founder of the company, some stickers, and a get started guide. Powering up the Zimaboard for the first time, it will run through various initialization routines before it drops you to the desktop. You'll need to navigate to the pre-installed Firefox browser via the Activities menu. Once open, go to http://casaos.local and press enter. Be careful, you'll need the full address, including the HTTP. You'll be taken to a welcome screen. Press go. Enter a username and password and confirm the password and press create. You'll be asked if you want to show news feeds from the Casa OS blog. I accepted this. You'll be dropped onto the desktop. Now here you can see the main compelling reason for using Casa OS. This is a super clean and easy to use desktop that it feels very much like a Mac. In the top left of the screen, you'll get the system status, which will show you the CPU usage, the current power draw in watts, and the CPU temperature. To the right of this is the RAM utilization. As this is an 832, this is 8 gigabytes of memory. We're currently using 14% of the 8 gigabytes available. Below that is a widget tile that shows you the storage. This is the storage of the 32 gigabytes of eMMC memory. Current utilization on a new system is at 7.46 gigabytes, and the total is at 27.06 gigabytes of the 32 gigabytes raw storage. Below the storage tile is a widget that shows you the network utilization with a handy drop-down that shows the utilization against both network sockets. EMP2SO is the left-hand LAN port and EMP3SO is the right-hand LAN port. In the center, there is a search field that performs an internet search, but instead of using Google or Bing, this defaults to DuckDuckGo as the search engine. You can change this to Google or Bing if required in the preferences. Below the search is a recommended app, in my case SyncThing, which can be installed directly from this tile. Next to the recommended app is a tip for smarten up your home, which is a link to Discord. In the center of the screen is the star of the show, the App Store and the File Manager, called Files. Let's cover Files first and leave the best till last. Files takes you to the usual format of a folder navigation bar on the left-hand side and the contents of the folder on the right-hand side. You'll get the usual basic file manager functionality, but without any of the more advanced features such as drag and drop. Below the quick access folders, there is a location label. Expanding this out allows you to add local storage such as SATA drives, as well as connecting network storage such as a NAS. There is no network discovery, so don't expect a Windows experience, and you'll need to know the Samba share address, username, and password. Back on the home screen, we get to probably the reason you bought the Zimaboard in the first place, its ability to run Docker containers. So let's install two applications that would be high on your installation list. That's Home Assistant and Plex. Click on the App Store. If Home Assistant is on the featured apps, then press Install. If not, you can either search for it or scroll down, press Install. And this is the beauty of the Docker container. The installation takes under 2 minutes. The Docker container will start up in the background. Simply click on the Home Assistant icon and you'll be into Home Assistant and ready to start up. Press the Create My Smart Home and you'll be into the setup. One thing to note is that this is a Docker version of Home Assistant, so you'll not be able to get your supervisor or add-ons. But this is true of any Docker version of Home Assistant, with all the advantages and disadvantages. That said, if you'd like to add an SSD to the Zimaboard, and it's capable of running a VM with all the advantage that offers. Alternatively, if you'd like to make your Zimaboard a dedicated Home Assistant server and gain supervisor and add-ons, then you can install the Home Assistant OS directly onto the Zimaboard. We'll be releasing a video on how to install Home Assistant OS onto the Zimaboard shortly. Make sure you subscribe and ding that notification bell to be advised of when this is released. Now let's look at Plex. As the Zimaboard is based on an x86 architecture and has hardware transcoded built in, and the ability to be linked to two SATA drives with a theoretical capacity of up to 32 terabytes, or to mount a network drive such as a NAS or a file share, then it's the ideal candidate for a Plex server. To install Plex, navigate back to the Casa OS home screen. Go into the App Store, search for and select Plex. Press Install. The installation is even quicker than Home Assistant and literally took under a minute. Now that Plex is installed, log into Plex. Now let's go and add a library. Press the spanner for settings. Go to Manage Libraries. Click on Edit Library. Add a folder. Browse for media. Select your appropriate media and press Add. Save changes. The library will now update. Go back to the home screen, and our favorite movie of the Has Agent on Windows from Smart Home Australia is now available to watch. So in this first video in a series on the Zimaboard, I think you'll agree this is a very neat package and a great candidate for a home lab or a media server or a home assistant server, or all of the above plus a lot more. It's more powerful than a Pi 4, is passively cool, is available now and has sleek looks with two SATA sockets, two LAN ports, and the icing on the cake is a PCIe port that makes it a great home lab for all you tinkerers. So for the experience, it's a yes, this is the product for you. For those that just want a Home Assistant server and have no intention of going any further, then it's a maybe. The Home Assistant Green would offer better support and ease of configuration and comes with everything you need out of the box, but I'd suggest you'd outgrow that pretty quickly and might regret your purchase. For those that are new to Home Labs and Home Assistant and want to explore into both, then the expandability and capabilities of the Zimaboard is a compelling value option. So I hope you enjoyed the video and hit that like button and maybe drop the community a comment about your thoughts on the Zimaboard, and consider subscribing to the channel and dinging that bell to be notified of when new content becomes available. Until the next one, happy docking.